Call the meeting to order. It's Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, 9 a.m. We're in the Mounds View City Hall Council Chambers. The record reflect that all managers are present, along with our usual wonderful supporting staff. Open mic. Any Rice Creek Watershed District resident may address the board in his or her individual capacity for up to 3 minutes on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are requested to come to the podium, state their name and address to the record. Additional comments may be solicited and accepted in writing. Generally, the Board of Managers will not take official action on any item discussed at this time, but may refer the matter to staff for a future report or direct the matter be scheduled for an upcoming agenda. Are there any persons in the audience who would like to use the open mic opportunity? Seeing none? Setting the agenda, any changes to the agenda?
Staff have no proposed amendments.
All right, anyone else have a proposed amendment? Otherwise, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're ready, pass obviously, 5-0. Approval of the minutes.
So I'm going to do two motions for each of these meetings, one for each of these meetings. So I would move to approve the April 6th Rice Creek Watershed District Board of Managers Workshop minutes. I do have one minor sort of typo change, which I can pass on to the staff, but I'll move to approve them as written otherwise.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Your second motion.
And then my second motion is to approve the draft minutes of the Wednesday, April 8th regular meeting of the Rice Creek Watershed District Board of Managers with the following changes, and there are a few. On page 6, line 28, I think we should add a sentence that there were no comments put forth from the public. It just doesn't specify there. On page 8 of our packet, this would be on line 77. I would like to insert a sentence or a clause that would just say, but assured the board that it was not an isolated incident that was explained and therefore not something that needed to be overly concerned about. So it explains why we were getting the recommendation from the auditor not to be concerned about the noncompliance. On page 9, I would like to add on line 115 that there were no additions or revisions to the draft 2025 Rice Creek Watershed Annual Report. Otherwise, it just kind of hangs out there. And then on page 10, the paragraph that starts with line 159, I just felt it wasn't reflecting what I was trying to get forth, and I actually went back and looked at the video to make sure I was remembering correctly. So I'd like to have that paragraph restated to say that Manager Hagelin stated that the board was requesting 2 modifications to build something like this for the other pots of money that are received, and to list the other sources of funding from the entity so that the benefits could be filtered for the total project cost, as well as by the proportional contribution of the funding sources.
Matter Eglin, I have a friendly amendment back on page 9 where you, after discussing whether or not there had any additions or revisions, you had wanted to add a sentence that no revisions were made. The following sentence says that President Bradley noted that he had a few edits that he would share following the meeting, and those edits were in fact made.
Right. What I was trying to clarify is when Manager Summerfield asked if the board had any additions or revisions, that she was asking for additions and revisions to the draft annual report.
And those are the ones in which I made edits and provided to her,
Yes.
not orally at the meeting, but in writing after the meeting.
Right.
So I don't think I did support your edit sentence.
It's not that, I mean,
That's fine.
it's for clarification, so if we don't want that, it's fine.
Okay, with that a change, I will second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. So we're at the consent agenda. Patrick?
Yes, President Bradley, Board of Managers, staff have 4 applications for your consideration today. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Patrick, I have one. On page 28 of our packet, it's item 26-019. The about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. The NERP barn was designed and constructed under permit 19013 and included larger 17.582 drainage area. Oops, next one. The applicant has proposed 0.57 plus or minus acres less. Previous service than previously approved. Oh, the 17.582 in the sentence above. Is that acre feet?
No, that would be acres. The 2019 application was more of a, campus for the Ling-Blomston site. They didn't construct everything under that 2019 permit. So this is a piece of that inside that they, I guess, essentially did sort of plan for. Yeah.
And I'd suggest you add the word acres after the 17.582 for clarification.
Sure.
Thank you. With that, anyone else have any questions or suggestions?
These two are here for the permit.
We recognize that we have 2 people in the audience who are here with respect to
26018.
26-018. Welcome to our meeting. I don't think any of us have any questions about that, but if you had something you wanted to tell us, you're welcome to do that.
We're good.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion then?
I can make the motion. So I would move to approve the consent agenda as outlined in the above table of contents. This is for number 26-015, 26-018, 26-019, and 26-023 to approve with the Rice Creek Watershed District's engineers' finding and recommendations dated April 14th, 2026.
I would second that. And Mr. Chair, I would also add that I appreciate the staff's work that goes into these permit applications and into presenting them so clearly in our packet.
Very good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Your permit was granted.
All right.
Thank you for coming. I believe we're up to item on page 39, HEI Task Order 2026-006, Lake Johanna Outlet Structure Final. Tom Schmidt, you're up.
Mr. President, Board of Managers, staff are seeking approval of a task order for Houston Engineering to produce final plans and specifications and do contract administration for the removal and replacement of the existing Lake Johanna outlet structure, which has previously been presented to the board as in a severely deteriorated condition. Chris will do a little walkthrough on the condition.
Mr.
Mr. President, Board of Managers, so you can see on the graphic on the screen here, that is a picture of the inside of the structure. And you can see a bunch of things in your mangled metal sticking up this way and that way. And it doesn't take a whole lot of understanding once you actually get out there and see what this looks like. You realize, wow, the structure is in really bad condition. Again, this is at the northwest side of Lake Johanna. It's right next to, is that Tony Schmidt Park?
Tony Schmidt's Park.
Schmidt's Park, yes.
Never.
And you can see the inset that I have shown on here. It's right next to a public beach right along the edge of the parkland. This structure was originally constructed in 1979 by Rice Creek. Part of that infamous Long Lake Chain of Lakes EPA project that a lot of these structures were constructed as part as, in that southwest portion of the Rice Creek Watershed District. it was constructed originally really to try to stabilize water levels, but then they provided a couple other purposes along with this. They did provide a skimmer structure that was on the front to try to keep floatables like weeds and tree debris and that sort of thing from going downstream. Also had a fishing pier that was located on top of it. You can see that on the picture here. Have a nice railing there. I'm not sure what the value of that fishing pier is, because when you wade out there, it's only about maybe 1 foot deep water when you're out there, not very deep. But then they also provided a gate valve on here, and we don't know if it ever was operable or not. We don't even know if there, in fact, actually is a pipe going off from that gate valve, but the gate valve does exist out there. Back in 2009, we were asked to take a look at the structure because that skimmer that was on there had gotten torn off, and so we worked to replace that baffle, and then there was also a cap over top of the sheet piling that was replaced at that time, and everything looked, pretty decent. Starting to see some, rust that was occurring in different places, but it wasn't terrible at that time. And then we fast forward another 16 years, and we were asked to do an inspection report last year. And we found that there was really severe degradation that occurred in the last 15 years. And I don't know that there was anything magical that happened. It's just over time, the rusting had thinned everything out, and now it's really accelerated. A lot of members that have been rotted away. You see that picture in the lower right there. That if you can see on there, there's a rust hole right on one of the support members that's pretty much all the way through. So it's kind of dangling there. In fact, if you actually stood on top of that fishing pier, which we really do not want people to do that, but if you did that, the whole structure was flexing. So not in a good condition. Part of that, part of the effects of that is there's a cracked slab there now, and all that really leads to a structure that obviously needs to be replaced. And once we started looking at that, we realized it really needed to be closed off to public access. So we had discussions with the County Parks Department, and we did close that access to the structure. You can see the sign here that Tom worked to get set up there. We've got gates across the thing to prevent people from getting into that structure. At this time, that same time last year, we also started looking at what are some of the needs that we need, and talking with Ramsey County Parks, and they determined that a fishing pier was not needed, which is a good thing. We don't, if we don't have to, we don't want to try to incorporate those kind of features into a water control structure. And we also determined, talking with Ramsey County Parks and also with the DNR, that having a drawdown functionality was not needed either. We're not sure why that gate valve was put in there, but we're not aware that that ever was used during the, nearly 50-year lifetime of the structure. So we had a task order from Rice Creek last year to complete a preliminary design. So we looked at a few different alternatives. We needed to prepare a preliminary plan for the work and cost estimate and provide a recommendation. And that's the memo that you have within your board packet here. And then back at that time, we did include a replacement of the structure within the 2026 budget. So the report that you have in your packet, we have a few different items I'll point out to you. There were 3 alternatives that were considered. We looked at a couple of different kinds of material and whether or not we wanted to have a rigid top on top of the structure. And ultimately, where we landed on working with district staff was a precast box culvert alternative. So basically something that you would have manufactured off-site, brought in, and assembled on-site. It would be connected to the culvert that is already underneath the roadway. And doing so, we can provide a very similar function as the current structure in terms of the hydraulics. Now, something that DNR wanted to make very sure of is that we weren't going to be changing either runout elevation or how it was going to perform, and certainly we don't want anything to negative to happen with that either. And then we did include a top slab on it. We felt like this is the best way to prevent any sort of unauthorized access, because we really don't want people climbing in there, even if you have a fence around it. You know, you certainly could theoretically have somebody climbing in there and you have this big box culvert and potentially have a danger of them getting washed down underneath the roadway. So we included out those items. We have, as you can see on our one cross-section view, even some bolt-on bars that go across the structure, again, to keep people out of the structure. We have a cost estimate of approximately $400,000 for this. That would be a construction-only cost. That doesn't include our engineering costs, which we have separately within our task order. A few things that we are considering as we're looking at this. Again, as we're working on the construction, being close to that public park, we really need to work on keeping site security around there as construction is going on. You know, part of that is trying to work during non-busy times, and feel like probably the best time to do this work, both for managing water and to avoid that busy time, would be in the fall, after the school is back in session. That water level in Lake Johanna, we have to maintain that. We can't draw that down while we're working. So contractor is going to need some sort of coffer dam to set up around the structure and be able to pump that out to be able to work. There is a limited amount of area to be working in here. And so we're going to have to work really closely with the Parks Department to try to find areas that will be suitable to set up the equipment, stage materials as we're working here. And I don't see that as being a problem, but it might require closing off parts of the park there, including the swimming beach area, which likely wouldn't be in use anyway while we're working there. So in the next steps here, we do have the task order from Houston Engineering in the board packet that we're looking to have the board consider today. We would be intending to get the final plans and bid package done toward late June, early July of this year. And then going out for bids shortly after that. Usually that's about a 1 month turnaround on that. And then, as I mentioned before, trying to construct that outlet sometime in the fall of 2026. So that's all I had, and I can address any questions you might have.
Any questions to either Tom or Chris?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I understand that there's a lot of rust in there. How does that tie up to some of the work that Catherine, I see, was doing in checking chloride in the lakes? Does the salt runoff have an impact on this? You know, what can we say about that, especially since, at least in Ramsey County, the League of Governments is looking at salt and its impact. I mean, we're looking at something that has a public expense to it. What can you say about salt in the water?
That's a great question, Andrew Wynant. So we know from some of the old documentation, they were aware even 40, 50 years ago that salt was an issue out here in this area of the Watershed District. Certainly that has led to accelerated degradation of the structure. I don't feel like a structure like this, if you had it situated at a different, northern portion of the Watershed District where you'd be seeing this, but there's, so much chloride runoff that's coming into the lakes that I think that has really created challenges with some of these steel structures. I don't know if you remember, well, I guess this was years ago, but back in 2009, we replaced a structure downstream from here. It's called the E2 wetland outlet. That was made out of steel sheet piling, and that was just Swiss cheese after about a 35, 40 year period. We ended up replacing that with a vinyl structure It's, for the very purpose that we didn't want to have something steel out there. And so that's again why we're looking at using something concrete here. Concrete can degrade with being in a saltwater environment, but certainly not to the degree that steel would.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, just a couple, and some of this is just more informational for me. So when you talked about the 3 different alternatives, I understand the vinyl sheet not having the sort of durability of the alternative 1 that you are suggesting, but I was curious about alternative 2, because it looks like the downside of that is just a longer construction. Is the cost of 1 versus 2 approximately the same, or is 1 less expensive, more expensive? There isn't any cost estimate on these other alternatives, which I understand because you're not recommending them, but I was just curious.
Sure. If you can bear with me for a second, I just need to take a look at the report there. To familiarize myself again with what we had looked at for that. Okay, yeah, alternative 2 was the one where we actually left an open top on it and had a railing on it. And so that was a different kind of construction method where instead of bringing in a pre-made structure and constructing it on, off the site and bringing it on site, this one we were looking at actually pouring concrete walls like you do a poured concrete basement foundation,
Right.
and then putting a railing around it. And the challenges with that, a few different things, but one of them was going to be leaving open access to people to get on the site. And so really in order to address that, we would need to put a concrete slab over it. And then by the time we put that concrete slab over it, it would be more cost effective just to bring a pre-made box out there.
So the alternative 3 does not have the open top that alternative 2 does. That's the part that was confusing to me because it seemed like they would both have that open, and you solved it in number 3, but I didn't see that. I'm sorry, is in number 1, but I'm sure I just am trying to understand it. I'm not arguing whether or not 1 or
Sure.
2 is the best. Just trying to understand the sort of comparison.
Yeah. So alternative 2 was still a concrete structure, but poured in place. Yep. Alternative 3 was the vinyl one. And both of them had the open top on it, but so they both, I guess, would have the same challenges of allowing access into the site. And I think, again, ultimately, the least expensive out of all of these that would be able to provide that security would be the precast one.
And that's because of the length of the construction, or?
It would be because if we needed to close off the security there, would take that railing off, put a concrete slab on it. Well, that increases the cost then by doing that compared to what you would have from bringing one from offsite.
Okay, and then just the other question I had, again, for information, is how do we typically fund a project like this? Or how are we, is that to be determined, or is there a source of funding already that's been decided? Go ahead.
President Bradley?
Yep.
Manager Hagelin, the district budgeted in 2026 for the project,
Okay,
so it would be levy, although I do believe the district included some fund balance spending for that specific account.
thank you.
President Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Hagelin, to continue, I'll just note here that the cost estimate was higher than the original estimate, but at this point, it's not a concern to me as far as the budgetary matter. Certainly, I'll bring that back, depending on where the bids fall and that sort of thing, if need be.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, the cost estimate for the project, the 400 and some thousand,
Correct.
is higher than you anticipated.
President Bradley, Manager Wynant, I would say the cost of the replacement, which would include Houston's task order to proceed through the work, the actual construction work, et cetera. So the whole package is what we envisioned within the budget, and now we're looking at several pieces of that. So combined, they're appearing to exceed what we had initially thought. Not unusual, and just something that, as the administrator and working with Tom, we keep track of.
Thank you.
If I could, Manager Bradley, Board of Managers, given the discussion and the inclusion of the technical memo of design alternatives, it'd be good for the board within its motion located on page 40 to recognize the memo, the consideration of design alternatives by the board, and that there's some concurrence with the recommendation. So something to that effect, I think, would be.
I'll see how I do.
Very good. Something good for the record.
So is there
Thank you.
further discussion before I do a motion? Or questions, I should say. If not, I would move to approve task order 2026-006, the Lake Johanna Outlet Structure Final Plans and Specifications as recommended by Houston Engineering to adopt Alternative 1, a precast box culvert, for an amount not to exceed $73,400, and further authorize the district administrator to sign the task order.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Good discussion. I guess we are at Ramsey County Ditches 2 and 5, the initiate proceedings. Tom, I guess you're up still.
Thank you, Mr. President, Board of Managers. Rice Creek Watershed District, you as the Drainage Authority need to initiate proceedings and modify portions of both RCD 2 and RCD 5 in order to complete upcoming components of Basic Water Management Project, which is the Ramsey County 2, 3, and 5 suite of projects. And part of that includes impoundments and modifications to RCD 2 and RCD 5, and so we need to work through that process. Chris has a small presentation or map to orientate all of this.
Very good. Chris?
Sure. So on the screen here is the Jones Lake. Just for a little bit of orientation on the lower right-hand part of the page, that's Ramsey County Ditch 5 that comes in between the railroad and a industrial building, and it flows to the north into Jones Lake, kind of makes a dog leg to the left. And then the outlet for Jones Lake at the northwest and upper left is Ramsey County Ditch 2. There's actually an outlet structure. It might be hard to see where my cursor is, but it's right where the lake narrows down into that ditch channel, and then it proceeds again to the north and over to Pike and Long Lake. What we're proposing here as part of our project, in addition to the dredging of Jones Lake and the new outlet structure that we have shown here on the map in the upper left, is that we're proposing for access purposes to realign the ditch on the lower right. Right now, there is very little room of bank between the ditch and that commercial site. They have some pavement there that is, just about right up to the edge of the ditch. And to be able to access equipment in and out from the Lakeview Drive that's on the south side, we're proposing to shift the ditch over toward the railroad to get it as close to that way without getting into the railroad right-of-way as we can, and then be able to leave a spot of about 20 to 25 feet in width at the top that can serve as an access corridor for doing the dredging and future maintenance of the ditch. And so what we have in the resolution there is to initiate the proceedings to begin to realign that ditch and to do an impoundment on the lake, because we are modifying the current impoundment on Ramsey County Ditch 2. That impoundment both affects Ramsey County Ditch 2 and Ramsey County Ditch 5 upstream. We're not proposing to change the runout elevation of that outlet structure, but we are making modifications so that we can get more bounce coming up and down in Jones Lake for flood storage. So that's a real quick overview of this, and
Manager
so I
Wynick?
can answer any questions.
So I'm prepared to make this motion, but a question I have is, so County Ditch 5 is just that lower part and it stops in the watershed, or in the wetland?
The end point, the downstream end, is at the edge of Jones Lake.
Okay.
And so there is no, connection between 5 and 2. There's kind of this gap that
interesting.
exists as the lake itself. And then 5 continues on upstream to the south, crosses 35W, and continues on to the south, not quite to Langton Lake.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Go ahead and make the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the resolution 2026-05 for adoption, initiating the proceedings and directing the district engineer to preview and prepare a report for the board's consideration.
I'll second that, and we have a roll call. Official, any discussion?
Mr. President, just a reminder that since you mentioned the railroad company, they hope you have some pre-meetings with them, because
Oh, yes.
their laws and rules are much different than most people anticipate, and it's always well before we've been, as
Yeah,
Gabby Hayes used to say in the Hopalong Cassidy movies when he was in jail, "I've been railroaded."
Oh, my goodness.
you do not want to surprise them. Good.
So that's just a cautionary word. I know you're very good at pre-meetings and you do this, and so we don't want to be railroaded.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll do the roll call. Bradley, yes. Hegland?
Yes.
Robertson?
Aye.
Waller?
Aye.
Wynant?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
President Bradley?
Yes.
Board of Managers, I'd just like to make note, you probably saw within the resolution, the noting of the dredging portion in the findings, 5, 6, and 7 kind of address that. The district continues to work to obtain the permit to dredge the lake Jones Lake, and restore its ecological functions, and that is a process. So we have several items we're moving forward with to be successful in the project.
Anything to report on terms of reaction to our request?
Certainly, Manager Bradley, Board of Managers, document. The DNR would like the district to explore all potential options, including raising 35W, raising parking lots and these types of things. Yeah.
Very nice.
So, respectfully, I'll say, while that sounds somewhat extreme, thank you, Manager Waller, we can put some language to that and how we might explore that, or did explore that, much of which is already documented within the past work of Houston Engineering and the district as it explored the entirety of Ramsey County 2, 3, and 5 project. So we do have some more materials, and we have an upcoming meeting where we'll engage with DNR and further the permit discussion.
Thank you for that,
You're welcome.
because we all know how valuable Jones Lake is in its current condition.
Yes.
All right. I suppose we're now to move on to the Gary Kasarik. And I assume that Kendra is here to talk to us about that.
Good morning.
Morning.
Pull up all my stuff. All right, so I have for you all today the resolution for the memorial donations that were made in, how do you pronounce his last name?
Chris Eric.
Krasaric, his memory. He was a citizen advisory committee member and a water steward, and he did this incredible project on Bald Eagle Lake. It was a shoreline restoration and a rain garden. And so Administrator Tomczyk has asked me to be here to give you some information on that project and how we're going to use the funds, which is for a new educational sign with a memorial piece on there for him. And then we are going to use the rest of the funds to care for the space. So we're going to add some additional native plants, clean it up a little bit, sort of refresh it. And I do have staff member Molly Nelson reaching out to the city to coordinate that work for the future year. So,
It's a nice little park.
yes, it is.
So, any questions of Kendra? If not, I would move to adopt resolution number 2026-06. To advance communication, education outreach by updating and modifying education signage related to Gary Krasaric. For the poor person who has to guess what that means, that's Krejcarek, Capstone Best Management Project, Bald Eagle Lake Rain Garden, located near the junction of West Bald Eagle Boulevard and West Avenue. To improve the function and condition of Bald Eagle Lake Rain Garden and to advance communication, education, outreach efforts of the district, generated by accounting for the remaining funds. And we have a roll call.
Do you have a second?
Oh,
Yes.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Bradley, yes. Hegland.
Yes.
Robertson.
Aye.
Waller.
Yes.
Wynant.
Yes.
Thank you for your effort on this. When I was approached by his widow, asked whether or not we would accept funds, I promptly said yes, and then promptly called in and said, can we? and then thought about the concept of this is a fitting tribute, and it's a win-win for us and for his family. So I appreciate when that opportunity happens. So thank you for your work on this.
And I will make note, this project is on our website, so
Cool.
I can pull it up for you all now, or you can just visit it at the project.
And by the way, you sent letters to people who had made donations or haven't received one. I thank you. That's a nice touch too. And I'm sure the Krasaric family is tickled. So thank you very much.
She said it is on the website, and you're
Yes.
ready to pull it up?
I can
Oh.
share it real quick
Sure.
with you all.
We're flying, so we got time.
So this is the project page under this tab right here on the top menu here. It's called the Bald Eagle Lake Rain Garden. Just has all the information, partners, costs, funding sources. Scroll all the way back to the beginning here.
Oh, that's right.
So this is what the site used to look like. Very damaged boat launch, I think, is what it was. But
Illegal boat launch, yeah.
yeah, as you can see, just a bunch of erosion damage, concrete road barriers, I think that those are. And there's a picture. This was before my time at the
And
district, so
that's
I was
Gary
not
with
there.
his arm
but
out, by the way.
yeah,
And I was on the CAC at this time. And were you on it?
I think you are in the background.
On the
You're holding
CAC.
a yellow envelope.
Oh,
I think that's you
Okay.
anyways.
all right.
But yeah, so they did a site visit out there. But yeah, so that's Gary showing everyone around the project. Curb cut with sort of a two-tiered step-down approach to the shoreline area. That's the shoreline. This was 2 years ago. I took some just follow-up pictures. The plants have filled in nicely, but as you can see, we have some leaf and debris from the catchment area, and it could use a little bit of a cleanup and refresh, but the plants are doing well. This is the sign that's currently out there, so we're gonna update it, make it a little more prettier. So this is kind of where that middle section, that two-tiered little weir structure that's there. So yeah, you can see the plants have filled in nicely.
And you drive by that every day.
If I'm going south around the lake, I do, yes. It's a nice little park. There's picnic tables, benches.
That's all the pictures I got. But yeah, it is on the website if you want to look at it, later. But
Thank you. That brings us into the check register, I believe. Madam Treasurer?
Yes. Mr. Chair, Board, I move approval of the check register dated April 22nd, 2026, in the amount of $401,944.05, and the April interim financial statement prepared by Redpath and Company.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. I believe we're up to staff reports. Any information you want to share or comments made? If not,
Well, the usual, which is you have a very busy crew,
Indeed we do, yes.
and I can only imagine it's accelerating with the nice weather.
yeah. Brings us, I think, then to the May calendar. Anything of note? Other than the fact that I have the CAC meeting Wednesday. I'll be there.
President Bradley?
Yep.
I'll just note to the board, May 13th, after our regular meeting, we'll try to get out to Jones Lake. Have a convenient spot for parking and such, and
Make
access.
a note on your calendars. All right. Any updates?
President Bradley, Board of Managers, I'll note that the Centerville Lake Alm project, moving into Phase 2. That should be moving next week already. That's funded by the Clean Water Fund dollars, about 90%. The Phase 1 went well. We were expecting the same for Phase 2. So FYI on that. I'll note that we do have on Anoka County Ditch 5362, we have a municipal outfall that has some erosion around it that our engineer will be investigating. And I think maybe we have a photo we could share of that. This is a portion of the area that we repaired in the previous year.
So I'll show a map here first for context. This is again outfalls that were constructed as part of the repairs to the main trunk of 5362. These are Circle Pines outfalls. And the one in particular is located east of Lexington. It's in the backyard of one of the areas along West Road, and ends up being just kind of in the backyard of, I think it was right about in here, again, a little ways away from Lexington Avenue here. I'll share a photo here, or a few photos that Connor was able to take yesterday.
East of Lexington and north of Lake?
Yeah, north of West Road, so it'd be northwest of Golden Lake.
Okay. Oh, boy.
So
Broken pipe?
the manhole is what we had constructed as part of the repair effort. Previously, they just had a pipe that was going straight out and dropping into the ditch, and it was a problem. There was erosion going on. There was a pipe that was damaged and falling down into the ditch. So what we planned to do here was to build a manhole over the top of the existing tile or existing storm sewer, and have a drop in it so that it drops down. You can see how tall that is, drops down, reduces the energy before it goes out. So that's working. The problem is you can see the disconnection here between these two pipes. These are both pipes that were there before we were working in there. One of the pipes, the one that's in the manhole, is one that we actually had reset as part of the project because it had already dislodged from that other pipe when we got there. And so we worked with the contractor to get that, use sealant and grout to seal that up and hold it in there. But it appears that the pipe is so old that it's disintegrating. The bell end on that pipe is breaking apart, similar to what we found in other segments that had already fallen into the ditch before when we'd gotten out there. And so because of that, there was a lot of sediment that kind of scoured out around it, created this big hole. But it also appears like it had been happening for a while here, that it had been at least one or two of the pipes had gotten dislodged. And there's actually a bunch of sediment sitting in the apron of the outlet there. If you bear with me for a second here. Yeah, this is a view from above, and you can see here at the end of the pipe that there's a bunch of sediment. There's actually vegetation growing out of it. So it's probably been at least a year that that pipe had been separated, sending sediment down into the manhole and into the end of that pipe.
Does that suggest there's a break in a pipe upstream?
Multiple breaks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got a better photo that'll show it here in just a minute here.
That's a Circle Pines storm sewers
Yes.
system?
And so the city had paid for the construction of this outlet.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
So I assume you've advised the city that they have broken pipes that are doing this damage?
The city reached out to the district when they,
Okay.
that this was an issue here. Actually, I'll go back one photo here. So you can see in the background, there's actually two different pipes that are dislodged. There's this one back here that's tilted up, canted at an angle. And so my concern here is that if we just simply try to, replace one or two of these pipes that are in here, that you're going to have something going on farther upstream that's going to dislodge, send more sediment in there, and so it's something we need to have dialogue with the city on, what they see as a timeline for repairing their storm sewer all the way out.
Yep. Well, good luck.
President Bradley,
Yep.
I'll just note to the board, I think this just occurred yesterday, was it? That we became aware of it, or the day before, and so it's early on, and I believe Mr. Otterness will be visiting the site later today. So we haven't had much dialogue, if any, about it,
Sure.
but secured, I see Tom's going to speak.
Yeah, Mr. President, Board of Managers, I did acknowledge the email from the city that we were going to investigate, and we did, I had Connor put some construction fencing around the hole to prevent people from falling in.
Good.
But we have not had further communication. I wanted to wait till we updated you before we reached out again to the city.
Yeah, and Mr. President, to follow that up, and for clarity, this is a corridor that's not supposed to have public access on it, but we do know that people still do, and that's why we wanted to get the construction fencing up. But it's very important that the public is aware that it's not an area that they should be accessing anyway, so.
Great.
Just a question for Chris and Tom. Did you guys then share kind of the stuff that Connor found on the site, like some of these photos? Have you shared those with Circle Pines yet, or you're not even to that point yet? Okay.
Manager Bradley, I have no further updates. I'll note we have a number of things at the legislature, and imagine Manager Waller may have some thoughts there.
John?
I believe you've seen my letter that I sent out by email to CC the board.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I've been down to the legislature. It's most enjoyable. The Ag Committee and the House Environmental Committee have both adjourned for the year now, theoretically. I did have the opportunity in the hallway to meet with Senator Pappas and place our flyer about the bonding money into her hand and talk to her about it. And a week later, I met her again. And in the hallway, and asked her about the bonding bill, reminded her, and of course, I also reminded her that we've been on the list at the DNR for 10 years and hadn't got $1. So I'd be happy with 10 if she could send it, $10, any money, I don't care. So there's that to be done. I was on my way home, and Senator Green telephoned me, and I went back to his office and met with him. As a representative, Senator Green was a sponsor of our update bill for that we have and now it's in the Senate, and he's also the lead on the Environmental Committee in the Senate. And he said we just weren't going to get a hearing on this. He knew that already. He was replying. I had written him a note several weeks ago, and so he is calling me, and I went back and met with him in his office, and there was another senator there at the same time, and both of them on the Environmental Committee. So Senator Green's very supportive of the bill, very strongly, and so I hope that we'll have some continued support. I also met with Senator Putman, who is the chairman of the Ag Committee in the Senate. He's a strong supporter of this bill also, he said. And the assistant chairman in the Ag Committee, Kupik, also was supportive of the bill. So we have support in the Senate from both sides. Kupik and Putman are both Democrats, and Green's a Republican, and of course we had Senator Westrom and Senator Housley. Then I was in the House Environmental Committee, the last meeting they had. I had asked that they hear our bill to the chairman, but he said at the time we didn't have any, he had a full agenda, he didn't have time. Turns out they agendaed about 20 minutes before the time was up for the committee meeting, so we could have had that. But the last bill that was heard was from Representative Vang, and it had to do with environmental worksheets being mandatory.
For
Now,
ditch repair.
I have been in that room quite a few times this year. I think I've got they give you a little ticket for every
I was
time I've
gonna
been
say, you
there.
gotta have a frequent flyer card by now.
Yeah, I've got frequent flyer cards from
Looks
there.
like Monopoly money.
Yeah, well, and so this is the first time I saw the Watershed District organization lobbyist in the room. So I had seen the agenda and saw Vang's bill and was suspicious of it, and so I went over and sat down, and of course, then he explained to me that all those people that were listed on there, the county commissioners, the Association of Corn Growers, Bean Growers, the watershed districts, there was a letter there from Ms. Voigt, and such. But I couldn't help myself, Mr. President. I had to use the opportunity that said when the public is available to talk, and so I stepped up to the mic. They gave me promptly 2 minutes.
I was gonna say, they timed you down there for sure.
Yeah, everybody else, I was the only one to get time, so I was special. And
We've known that for years, John.
yeah, yes. And
gosh.
so I explained to him who I was and where I served and my length of service, and that we had 3 counties and 28 cities and 123 miles of ditches, I think I said. Maybe I'm a little off on that. And that all of our 28 cities empty their stormwater into our ditches, and we need that. And I felt that this was already had an amendment to it when Representative Vang came in saying, wait a minute, this is only going to go to the Minnesota River Valley, not the whole state. I've changed my mind. And I said, I have a feeling that this is just mission creep here, and we're going to see this expanded, and this is something that we don't need. So because I had 2 minutes, I then excused myself, of course. And afterwards, I thought, and I've talked to one of the co-chairmen. Since then, I've only seen one co-chairman, that was Heinzman. And I told him, I said, we have a staff here of 19 people. And these folks are experts at water quality, water quantity, and rate volume. They know it. And they do business with the Department of Natural Resources and with the Board of Soil Resources almost every week on anything that's going on. And if we, as managers, needed to have a environmental worksheet performed, I am certain the staff would tell us that. And I said, we're not unusual. All of the watershed districts, the 22 that Ms. Voigt talked about, they have drainage authority. I'm sure they all have managers and staff. And then I explained to the chairman that in addition, we have consultants, we have engineers, and we have lawyers who are particular experts and specialists in this field. So it's redundancy, and then just in my opinion, this was a jobs bill for the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy. They like conflict. This is the kind of thing that creates conflict, and that's how lawyers make money, is that conflict. No offense, gentlemen. Either of you. But anyways, I think that's important, and that the bill was laid over, which means that nobody's given up on it yet. And so I don't know that there'll be another committee meeting this year, but when the committee was adjourned, it was mentioned that there possibly could be a future committee meeting. So it may be a chance for our bill yet to be heard on there. Other than that, I'll continue to go. The other day I attended the Ways and Means Committee because, of course, the House for Ag Committee, the Ag Bill, by the way, there's no Ag Bill in the House. That's really unusual. But at the last 48 hours, they got into a tiff, and it resulted in nothing happening. The entire Ag Bill, the one side made the demand that said, either we get this or we don't get a bill. Make up your mind. And that's what happened, was that. Anyways, so I'll continue to be down there to see how we're doing, and we have been gaining people to sign on to the bill as we've gone along. Let's see, is there anything else I want to snitch on myself about?
Oh, my word, is there anything left?
No, I think that's it.
The only thing I would like to add is that John routinely calls me after his sorry is down to to keep me advised, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the efforts he's doing on our behalf. And certainly appreciate your comments about that particular loathsome bill that would require EAWs on ditch maintenance.
That the way that is written, Mr. President, I didn't just understand what language they were doing. Even though they insisted it wouldn't affect this or that or other things, I just have
I think the third clause was pretty broad.
I thought it was very broad, and difficult to, and so that's why mission creep seemed to be the best explanation for it.
Cool. Well, thank you. Manager Weinert.
I'd like to thank you too, John, for hanging out at the legislature. It can be fun and exciting, and it can also be long. So thank you for being there, and thank you for your reports. I have nothing else to
Okay.
report.
Manager Haglund.
Nothing to report.
Manager Robertson.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing. I think we all just revel in Manager John's very thorough reports.
Yeah.
Anything that we could do in our spare time between meetings would never compare.
Nope, absolutely not. So with that, I have nothing either. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Amazing.